Welcome to the Utah Epodcopalians. This is a podcast from the unique world of the Episcopal Church in Utah. And we like to look at some of the topics that are going on in this exciting time of summer. And you know, when you think of summer, you think of youth, you think of sunshine, you think of camp, you think of all kinds of things that our youth will be doing. And so that's what we're going to do today. We have our youth director, Karen Gleeson, who you will see on her name, it will say Shine because that's a camp name. Everyone has to have a camp name. And then we have Ingrid VanZanten, who you will see as Frets, and that's because that's her camp name. I don't have a camp name, so you'll just see the name Craig Worth. And a little later, we'll hear from Brianna. But let's get going and talking about camp, because that's always the first thing I think you think of when you think of summer. You think of summer camp. And, you know, after this winter, I didn't even know if you folks could even open. You had how many feet of snow?
We still have a couple feet.
You still have snow. Here it is. We're recording this, you know, in June, the middle of June. You still have snow. Was the camp okay after the snow? Did we have any problems?
We did have a few problems. It was a rough, long winter, and the buildings were under snow for, well, some of them still under snow, going on 6 months now. And besides small damages here and there was one big incident. The cornice, which is kind of like a collection of snow, fell off of the roof of the lodge and smashed the, one could say, iconic lodge windows kind of to smithereens. So we've been dealing with the repercussions of that broken window and all of the glass. So
we're not going to cancel camp though, are we?
No, we're not canceling camp.
Okay, well then let's just talk about the good things. I know you folks have done an amazing job to get the place ready, and I know it's been a lot of shoveling, a lot of knocking snow off roofs, and that's all part of a new process from this last winter. But let's start talking about camp now. Camp, can we still get into camp? Is there still signups? Are all your spaces filled yet, or can people still get in?
Yeah, people can still get in. There are plenty of spaces in all of our camps. And Karen, do you want to tell the folks about some of the specialty camps we have this summer that could use some participation registration?
Oh yeah, so we're doing a couple new camps. Our first camp, we're going to start out with our 2nd through 4th grade camps. We're going to bring it in a little bit lower age. So we've had some interest from parents asking us, well, can I bring my child into camp? And they're going into 2nd grade. They get to come up and have an overnight at camp with us. So
cool.
That's really fun. So that's our first camp, 2nd through 4th grade camp. We have our normal camps as well, but we also added a couple other camps along with family camp is our Pride Camp. And that's an exciting new thing. And Ingrid, Frets, maybe you want to share about the Pride Camp.
Yeah, so registration is still open for every session, and we're hoping to fill up Pride Camp this year. It's the first time we've hosted a family camp specifically for families with at least one member who identify as part of the LGBTQIA plus community. And that is for all ages, you know, grandparents and really? Children. And we hope, that folks, especially after our showing at the Utah Pride Festival, will come and be in community with us at Pride Camp, and specifically at our 2nd through 4th grade camp. Those camps could use some participation numbers.
Wow, now that's interesting. Camp has changed. The camp experience has become a learning experience. It's become a ministry far more than I think in the old days when people made, I don't know, leather belts and woodworking or something like that, and sang some songs and roasted marshmallows. But there is an experience, there is a sense of what worship is all about, a sense about what ministry is all about, isn't it? Why don't you say what the camp experience is and what you hope that those that go to camp learn from it?
Wow. Well, I would mention that I think there's a really big sense of community
Hmm.
When we come to camp, it's a safe space for everyone. Everyone is welcome. There's a lot of outdoor nature time to connect with nature. We have our chaplains. Every week we have a chaplain that stays the week with the kids. And it's really, it's a great relationship where the kids can see the chaplain or the priest in a whole new light, where they're in camping and they're hiking boots and they're around the campfire. So the relationship there is really really good. And they also have the opportunity to ask questions. So that's really important for the involvement with the priest. And then there's some other things also that Ingrid could mention about with mental health and things as well.
Yeah, I think we're working to make the camp experience a more comprehensive experience, and that is comprehensive of a person's mind, body, and soul, and making sure that those things are in alignment and they're all functioning well together. So we have the support of our clerics who are with us at camp. We have our mental health advocate, and this is the second season that we've hosted that position at camp. And along with all like the really classic fun physical activities, what you get is a really comprehensive experience that challenges your body and pushes you outside your comfort zone, and may also push you outside of your emotional or spiritual comfort zone, to wonder and ask questions. And then also to have people in the community who care about your mental wellness and your whole well-being. So it really is a comprehensive experience.
Wow, that has certainly changed what we did. I mean, I suppose in the old days it was like, oh, you're homesick, we'll just keep going with it or something like that. And you really do see and identify and help as kids develop a community. I can see that a beloved community amongst themselves, and walk away feeling pretty good about who they are. That's really amazing. You know, one thing is all of this, and I know that camp is it's not a free situation. That you do have uh, payments, and I do want to know that you do have some opportunities that kids aren't turned away for financial. There are some opportunities the diocese provides. Do you want to make sure that we know that if you need to, if you want to send a kid to camp or a kid wants to go, that there is help? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Oh
How
yeah.
does that work, Karen?
Well, we set up a tier system, and it might be confusing when you get on the website and it shows you three different prices for each camp. There's tier 1, 2, and 3, and we basically set that up as an honorary system where you pay the amount that you're financially comfortable with. So that gives them choices of people to register. Also, we have a great scholarship program that you can apply for an application for scholarship. And so that will also help cover funds if anyone would like to come to camp. We don't turn anyone away for financial reasons, and everybody receives the same experience. So it doesn't matter if you pay tier 1 or tier 3, everybody's going to get the same experience at camp.
That is an amazingly wonderful idea that you've had. I know you've done that a couple of years, that tier system, and it again, the everyone gets that same experience. It's and even the counselors probably don't know that, oh, this is a high priced camper or this is not. I mean, it's all an experience. What are some of those experiences that you get? You've talked about philosophically some of them, the mental health. You've talked about some of the themes, the Pride Camp, and some of the other things. But what do you do? What is a day at camp? And I know it varies by age. That you're talking for a second grader or a high school, but just generally what goes on. And we also got to say where this camp is, and this is the most beautiful place in all of Utah. Well, of course you're going to get people argue about that, but it is right in the mountains. It's right next to Brighton. You're way in the mountains. The smell of pine, the sound of water, the whole experience. But what is a day at camp like for the average camper?
Yeah, this is the fun part to talk about and to tell people about. And we're high elevation in the mountains, so it's a pretty like rocky terrain, pretty cool, which is great. You can escape the heat of the summer by coming to Camp Tuttle for a week. And a day in the life of a camper is really packed full of variety of activities. In the morning, you're with your adventure group. An adventure group is a group of uh, counselors and campers between 8 and 12 campers, and you're adventuring in the morning with that group. And there's an element of leadership that shifts from counselors to campers as campers become more familiar with camp and the things they can do. Near the end of the week, the campers have a lot of say on what the activities that they're participating in the morning. And you'll spend time with our mental health advocate once a week in the morning and be learning about mental wellness, doing some mindfulness and some skill building like emotional regulation and coping skills. So there's variety of activities in the morning. After lunch, everyone takes a nice little nap, which is great. We rest our heads for about an hour. And then in the afternoon, you're open to camper choice. So that's really a camper driven choice section where campers can choose to go rock climbing or play Frisbee golf,
Wow.
arts and crafts. And camp has a variety of activities that are open, and campers are kind of moving around. And before dinner, there's cabin hour where you spend time with just the mates in your cabin. And you're involved in programming of varying degrees from passive to active activities. Then some free time before dinner. That's usually when kids get all showered up and smelling fresh. Or sometimes not. Sometimes they choose to go play in the woods or hang out in our hammock village and just take a nice little swing. And after dinner, the evening program involves, again, a variety of activities. This summer, we're introducing a program called Discovery Teams, where on one night of the week, a camper gets to elect whether they do a camp out. They get to cook a meal over a campfire and stargaze with our counselors on a camp out. They can be on the arts discovery team where they're engaged in an art project, or they can be on the naturalist discovery team where they're kind of engaged in something that's in the middle of arts and outdoors. So a combination of art and nature. And really just a lot of fun, big camp games, all camp games like classics, Capture the Flag and Camp Olympics. And then, of course, after all the fun has been had, we calm the night down with a campfire where our clerics teach us a little bit about the theme of the summer, and campers and counselors pick songs that we sing around the fire. So it really is a full, fun day.
Wow. You just described something that I wish I was in second grade. And, I mean, because it is a full day and it is so easy to see the meaningful sense of what you're gaining out of it. This is really a opportunity to grow, to learn, but by golly, to have fun too. And I'm just really impressed with hearing that schedule. It really is. I'm very impressed. The whole idea of youth ministry, I know, has again just been elevated through both of your leadership. I know that, and we owe a lot to the diocese, to the innovation, but the dedication and the love of what you folks do. It really is inspiring to all of us in the diocese to watch what you both have done to open up new fields and to try things, but to have learned yourself and what you do with the kids. One of the amazing things going on this summer is called EYE. It's the Episcopal Youth Event. And Karen, you're about to take a pretty substantial trip with our students. And I know the Diocese of Utah is, well, we all know it's number one in the Episcopal Church, but it's also number one among the support for our youth and in the EYE. Why don't you tell us, okay, what is EYE? What are you doing? What happens at EYE and all that kind of stuff?
Okay, so this year our Episcopal Youth Event will be held at the University of Maryland, or Maryland, excuse me. And we're going to stay for the Monday through Friday, and we stay on campus with the kids. And these are high school kids that has their first experience staying on campus. It's about 1,000 people come together from around the nation. It's all Episcopalians, and it's the youth and their leaders and the bishops that are invited, and they come in together. And it's an amazing experience because for some of these kids, it's their first time leaving the state or even getting on a plane, let alone meeting up with 1,000 other people, like-minded people that are in a whole room. It's an amazing thing to see when you're in a worship room and the whole auditorium is filled with people, and there's beach balls going around on the top, and the music of worship is going, and kids are doing the Congo line with the bishops, and it's an eye-opening experience for, well, every one of these kids. It's something they haven't experienced here. Being in Utah with a small amount of youth we have, we bring a group of people. We're having 21 this year. And we go out and we see all the other youth representing from all the different states. So the day looks like they get up in the morning. We have a morning worship time, and then they go out and there's all these different workshops that are available throughout the day that they can learn and work together. And it gives them some independence as well. So it's a nice way to trust the kids and get on the campus and explore all these different things that are available to them with other youth and bishops and presentations as well. And in the evening, there's always an evening closing, but there's also celebratory things like activities going on where they get to bond with other people from all around the other states. So I remember one year we brought a group, and this was in Oklahoma, and we made a group of people from Oklahoma, and we connected so well, and we were talking with their youth, and our youth were talking about different experiences, and they really bonded, and they got to know each other. And then they invited us to go to Oklahoma to come to their happening event. So it was a really great way to see how other youth are participating in their churches as well. So that's a really cool experience. And I do know that over the years of the kids that we brought, they're still involved with the diocese. I mean, they're either working here at the center or that camp, or providing Sunday school services, or being a counselor. So they're really involved. So it's a meaningful experience for these kids that stick with them for the rest of their lives. It's so well supported by the diocese. We had a wonderful fundraiser, the Cinco de Mayo fundraiser, and the support we had from our parishioners and our diocese that puts money away every year for this event. So it's heartwarming to see. It's really meaningful.
You walk away from that event. I would imagine, again, you're saying this is the first experience that many of these high school students, I assume they're all from high school,
Yep.
pretty much that high school age, and they walk away with really their idea that the church is more than something in Midvale or something in Murray or something in Salt Lake City or Moab. It's a worldwide church, but it's also a lot of folks that maybe are different backgrounds, different type of growing up, and probably their first experience at that. Like you say, that it sounds remarkable. What are some of the comments you get after you come back and kind of debrief with the people that have been on EYE? What sort of things do you hear from them?
Well, one of the main things I hear all the time is they're surprised when they go to an event like this that there are so many other Episcopal youth.
Mhm.
Here, there's not as many that they feel, and they go to the church. There might be a few that are there with them. And then it's nice that when we do our statewide events, they gather together and they get to be friends. But then you take it to the next level and you bring it to a national event. And that's what I hear a lot about. They really enjoyed meeting so many other people that are Episcopalians, and that support that they felt. That's probably the main thing I hear from the kids.
One question that just came to mind that in all churches, including ours, uh, that the churches have skewed older, our churches, and we've lost a number of youth. The participation around the high school level. Has this helped at all or changed and made it a little more relevant for young people, whether it's camp, whether it's EYE or other youth events? I know that just hit me, that idea. Do you have a comment on that? What do you think? Has it made the church more relevant?
I think it has, well, there's a couple things. One, EYE specific is so geared to youth. So everything that we do is all about the youth. So that's totally relevant and they see that. But I think the other component is I think we're so forward thinking in being so inclusive with everybody. And I think we're way ahead of the game on that. And I think that is something that's going to move the youth more. And Ingrid, you can talk more about that. I think that has a huge support system for our youth.
Yeah, I would like to hear Fretz from that idea of inclusive, because everything you've mentioned today leads to an inclusive nature, whether it's these, even like you said, time with your other campers alone in their building, in just kind of that bonding. It's done in those small groups, the mental health aspect, and then you get into some of the theme camps you talked about, like the Pride Camp and all that. Um, what has that done, opening up the inclusiveness? I would imagine there would be some critics that says, "Oh, come on, this is a little young." I'm sure you've heard that. I know our school systems have heard that. Our churches have heard that. Um, but what do you find is that experience of really going out of your way to make sure that everyone is welcome? Has that worked? Has that helped? And what is the response?
Yeah, we, as a staff and with my counselors, uh, wrestle with this idea that um, spaces and places in our world right now can be outwardly accepting of, for example, members of the LGBTQ community, but there's something different when a marginalized community sees a place or a space that is built intentionally with them in mind, not just built with the idea that they could exist there, but built for them to exist there, right? And camp is that way. And we were marching in the Pride Parade with Phyllis a few weeks ago, with Bishop Phyllis a few weeks ago, and saying, you belong at summer camp, and Camp Tuttle invites you in. We're not just our doors aren't just open. We're actively drawing people into our space, and I think that is the difference between, um, you know, being open to members of marginalized community and actually building a space for them. And I hope that members of our community see the intentionality there, and that we're making a pride camp, and we have introduced policies into the operation of camp specifically for members of this LGBTQ community. And it really is, even if it's just a small percentage of people, it's so worth it. We can't deny the existence of queer people in our community, and of kids whose whose lives are in danger in places.
Mhm. Yeah,
We, yeah, we can't turn a blind eye. Like, we have to protect them, and we have to make sure that they're welcome in our spaces, and that our spaces are designed for them.
that, and I'm also am aware of the fact that we have in camp also, or you folks, when I say we, I mean the diocese, and you are the ones doing all the heavy lifting here, but that we have gone out of our way also to make sure that we've included, like you say, those various income brackets, but certainly a mix of those that maybe are from old Episcopal families and those that might have been first generation or not even first generation immigrant or whatever. I mean, that it isn't something that's just for old old Episcopal families that I think the racial makeup, the language makeup, and all that that you've gone out of your way on that. Have you seen that we've had more folks from some of our churches that have catered to new immigrants or to those that have been traditionally, those that have immigrated here, people like that?
Yeah, I think that the relationship building, in our marginalized Black and Brown communities around the diocese takes a lot of time, and we have been working for many years with Saint Esteban and the South Sudanese congregation from All Saints, to make sure that they know camp is also built for them in mind, and just removing any barrier that could potentially arise for them that stands between them and camp. And that's financially, sometimes it's physically, sometimes they don't have the right gear or the right equipment. They make sure that's there for them. Karen goes above and beyond to communicate and liaise with those parishes to make sure that there is literally no barrier for them to come camp. And we've seen them in and around camp, and it's a beautiful and wonderful thing. We still have a lot of work to do, I think, for sure, as a camp and as a diocese, but the ball is rolling, and it feels super great to see the work.
I wasn't really sure how this conversation was going to go. I mean, when we talked about camp, I thought we would not become as serious, but that's really been a major and wonderful discussion. When we talk about, the word camp, the word youth ministry, the EYE, it has really taken on a new life. And I hope folks listening can understand the ministry, the beloved community that's being built, the fact that, by golly, kids can still be kids, but it's a safe place. And that's so important today in our world of what we are. The world of 2023 is very different than the world of 1957 or 1980 or even 1990. It's changed, and we're kind of almost out of time. And I know Brianna always has a question in our podcast, and maybe you do, for what you've heard in our discussion today, or maybe you just want to relive your days of camp. But is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, this has been a great conversation. I have loved just listening. I have a question. If we have any little ears listening to this podcast, I think camp is so exciting, but with that, it can also be a little nerve-wracking. Get the butterflies and the nerves before you go to camp. So if there's any kids out there that are like, I really want to do this, but I'm just a little nervous, what would your advice be for them?
Good. I would say, we have the saying at camp that life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. And your comfort zone is really that place where you feel nice and squishy and warm. And the further out from your comfort zone you step, the more uncomfortable you are. But that is when learning and growing happens. And my advice would be, just come and try, because you never know what's going to happen. And our staff and my counselors are highly trained, to help kids through difficult times like homesickness. And we have a lot of tools and resources at camp to make them feel at home. They can bring their little Snuggie. They can bring, a picture, of their family and hang it on their bunk. And for the little kids, the 2nd through 4th graders, it's one night. And I think that just knowing that can make it seem a little less scary. And if you're more scared as a 5th or 6th grader or 7th and 8th grader to spend a lot of nights at camp, we have a lot of ways to make kids feel comfortable and safe, and can write letters to your parents. Your parents can send you letters to camp from home. Shine, I don't know, what else would you tell a little kiddo who's a little nervous?
I can tell you, let's say we have an example of someone who is homesick, right? And they're, let's say, missing a parent. I just reassure them that the parent would really love them to enjoy their time here, and for them not to be thinking of them, because sometimes they think the parents are missing them. And really, the parents are like, yay, they're at camp. So I gently just nudged the kids, knowing that the parents would really love for them to stay at camp and getting these wonderful experiences. And they don't have to worry about their parents. They're just fine.
We find that homesickness creeps up when you're hungry, tired, bored, thirsty. So we make sure that they're, that kids are fed, that they're well hydrated, that they're well rested and having fun, a lot of engagement. So if you're worried about being scared at camp, come step outside your comfort zone and know also that there's a really big opportunity for fun and growth. So,
and that word safe is something important. And I want to, I know we're running a little over, but I think it's also important that we know, and all parents know, and all kids know, your staff is highly trained and highly vetted. I mean, we all today, sadly, and again, 2023, worry about safety of our kids. And every camp counselor has been vetted, background, and you know them personally, so many of them, and anybody, whether it's a priest, whether it's anybody that steps in that boundary of Camp Tuttle has been highly vetted, correct?
yes. And is required to take a pretty rigorous training called Safeguarding God's Children. So yeah, a highly vetted and highly trained and professionally trained.
Well, let's see you all at camp. This is a great time, and thank you so much, Frets and Shine, for just sharing, I think, a really insightful look at youth ministry at Camp Tuttle in the beautiful mountains, just very close to Salt Lake City, just almost touching Brighton. It's just a beautiful place, and the work that you've done is amazing. And we're going to have to hear all about camp and EYE a little bit later this summer. So this has been the Utah Epodcopalians, a podcast about the unusual diocese of Utah, because we're in that unusual place that we all love called Utah. Thanks a lot for listening. I'm Craig Worth of the Diocese.